Welcome to the Land Geek Podcast, your resource for information and tips to making money by buying and selling land. Let the Land Geek show you how to make a passive income by working smart, not working hard. Learn strategies and tricks to make money buying and selling raw land today. And here's the man that's going to help you do that, the Land Geek.
Hey, it's Mark Podolsky, the Land Geek at thelandgeek.com, and today I'm honored, privileged, I'm super excited because I have the CEO and co-founder and the host of the Real Wealth Show, Kathy Fettke. And Kathy, if you're not familiar with her, is an active real estate investor, licensed realtor, certified coach, and former mortgage broker. Basically, let's just call her real estate genius. And she specializes in helping people build multi-million-dollar real estate portfolios through creative finance and planning. And Kathy, thanks so much for taking the time. I know you've been on CNN, CNBC, NPR, CBS Market Watch, Wall Street Journal, but now you're on the Land Geek podcast, which I think trumps all of them.
Absolutely. So glad to be here.
Thanks so much. So you're the CEO and co-founder of the Real Wealth Network.
Yes.
Tell me about the Real Wealth Network.
Well, I started this about 10 years ago when I was personally desperate to figure out how to build wealth. My husband, who is a extreme athlete and jumps off of lots of tall things and he surfs things and climbs. He's always doing something dangerous. And I never thought I would be told that his life was threatened by a freckle and not by all the other things he did. Basically, he was told he had melanoma and the doctor thought he had 6 months to live.
Wow. That's scary.
It was terrifying. I actually didn't believe it. I couldn't allow myself to believe it. But what I did have to figure out was how to take over the finances, because he'd been on the treadmill and he was a motivational speaker, out traveling all the time, writing, motivating people, coaching business owners. And he actually thought maybe the doctor could be right and wanted to live those 6 months without working, of course.
Right.
Yeah. So I had to figure out how to take over. And we had a 4,000 square foot home. We had a large mortgage payment and a pretty big lifestyle. And I had been a stay-at-home mom and kind of forgot how to make money. So I had to figure it out.
Wow. Okay. So tell me, why real estate? I mean, there's lots of different ways to make money. You could have bought a business, an ongoing concern, stocks, bonds, commodities, whatever. So what drew you to real estate?
Well, at the time I was like you. I had a radio show that I enjoyed doing on the side. It wasn't anything that made me any money, but I liked doing it. And, because my husband was a business coach, one of the things he would say is develop your strengths, work with your strengths. And since I loved radio, I thought, I'll use this platform to find out how you make money, and how could I do that? Well, I'll interview people who have it and maybe they can tell me how they did it. And so I did. I interviewed millionaire after millionaire after millionaire on my radio show, really for personal reasons. And of course, my audience loved it too, because they wanted to know how these people made their money. And it always came back to real estate on some level, whether these people had a business or invested in real estate. At the end of the day, they took their money and put it into real estate of some form. So I just saw the connection and thought, well, I better learn how to do this. And one of the sponsors of my show, one of the ways I learned to make money was to get sponsors for my show. And one was a real estate investor. And he taught me and my audience how to get started.
No kidding. That's amazing. So I specialize in land. What's your niche? Or do you have a niche, or are you just kind of, opportunistic?
We are, I would say, opportunistic, because if, real estate goes in cycles. I think everybody knows that now, right?
Yeah.
It goes up, it goes down, and then it goes up again. And so I learned quickly to I'll tell you, this is what I learned from my show, to listen to experts. And, I've been a real estate expert now for maybe 14 years, but that's only one down cycle, actually two now. But, I want to learn from people who've been through three or four and have been doing real estate for 30 or 40 years. So that's really what I've done, is surrounded myself with experts who've been around many seasons, many downturns, many up cycles, and know how to win. And we bring those people into our network. Our network's now grown to over 14,000 members worldwide, who really want to learn from these experts and don't want to make mistakes. Unfortunately, the media is usually way off. By the time they give a headline, it's too late, whether it's a bubble or it's time to buy. Too many people listen to the general media, and they're too late.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's always that way. I mean, if you're reading about it, you're 3 months too late, 6
For
months
sure.
too late.
Yeah.
Is the deal. So you live in Malibu.
Yes.
Which really angers me, because it's like 110 here today. So when you say real wealth, like, what's your definition of wealth? Because it means something to it means something different to everyone else. Like,
yeah,
people, your members, like, okay, I want wealth.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I can't emphasize enough how important the definition of that is. We say real wealth is having the time and the money to live life on your terms.
Okay. Yeah, because you told me your husband right now is paddleboarding.
He is
in the Pacific.
Yeah. It's we're in we got a little place on our favorite surf spot in Malibu, and he's out there now. I will be after this radio interview.
Yeah, so I just kind of envision your life, like, you meet Mel Gibson for coffee, and then you guys all go to the beach, and maybe you'll meet another movie star, and have
we
lunch.
surf with a lot of celebrities. It's pretty fun. We don't really know who they are. We have to ask them, and they think that's funny because we don't watch a lot of TV.
That's great. They probably love that.
They do.
That's fantastic. So, okay, so what is your, like, so you got into to real estate. Walk me through one of your deals.
Oh, sure. Well, first and foremost, we really want our members of the network, and membership is free. You just go to realwealthnetwork.com and join. It's free. But we want our members to be educated, and we want to be a force in the US that is showing people how to do it right. Because I truly believe that part of the last downturn was too many people jumping in and not knowing what the heck they were doing and driving prices up.
Right.
And that's happening again today. It's real dangerous out there. People are doing dumb things again, and they're going to pay the price in a few years. So we want to be the force saying, hey, you guys, this is a major decision. Just because you can get a loan and put, 20% down, and it doesn't feel like a lot of money, maybe, you are taking on that loan, and you need to take it seriously. It's a big deal. And so we go through step by step educating people. But of course, one of the things that we really, encourage for new people, besides first getting educated, and our website's full of free education and, to help you get on your way. But, we say start with some of these. There's still some really good single family home properties that can rent, that, the rental income can bring 12 to 14% return annualized after all expenses.
And yeah, I mean, that's great. And then you've got your capital gains at the end of the day, with price appreciation, which hopefully will continue.
Absolutely.
So how do you see the current market right now? Because we've seen a big run up. I mean, Phoenix is up 30%.
Yeah, Phoenix is a market that I'm concerned about, because I'm telling you, I travel all over the world, and I'm on radio internationally and on TV. And the question that is always asked is, should I buy in Phoenix? So you have people from all over the world who know two cities in the US, Las Vegas and Phoenix, and that's where they're buying.
Right.
So, that I think it's fantastic if you got in early. You've seen a run up in pricing. There's going to be, if you're holding for long term, we believe that rents will come down because of the competition of so many investors coming in and buying rental property. So be aware of that. Don't expect rents to continue to climb. They may stabilize and even drop.
Right.
And there could be another bubble depending on, on what kind of crazy things people do. I have a real simple, solution for that. And that is generally lenders will, will only allow the debt to income ratios to be between 35 and 40%. So we say if a property is more than 2 to 3 times the income, you're probably paying too much.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And right now, I mean, you're just telling me about a deal. Tell everybody about this deal you're working on in Tahoe. This is incredible.
This is really, first and foremost, we like to see people get into rental property and get nice returns. If people can get up to 10 homes, and they can finance 10 homes with any conventional lender, you can get to a point where you can maybe leave your day job and just be living off the rental income. So we help a lot of people do that. But
it's capped now at 10, right?
It's capped at 10, but we're starting to find commercial lenders who will do more.
Okay, because I thought, was it Dodd-Frank that changed it?
I'm not sure. I just know that a lot of the banks have made that their guideline.
Okay, so it's a banking guideline.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it came from after the 2008 crash.
I don't know. I hope not.
I thought it was legislated, but
yeah, that would be
there's always a way.
Mm-hmm. Private financing, and there's always a way. I've got some mentees that this should be my mentors. I've got a 29-year-old kid who is he's making way too much money for his own good. He's like 29 and he's in pharmaceutical sales and making a lot of money. But he came to us and I tell you, that kid could be retired right now because he bought so much property and then did such a good job. He was able to borrow from family and friends and give them a really nice return. So he's really got unlimited access to financing and is just building an empire.
And he's just getting great cash flow right now.
Oh, just amazing. We're finding properties in parts of the U.S. where shale oil has been discovered and natural gas, and we're buying properties in those areas for $50,000 to $60,000, maybe $70,000 at the most. Really nice neighborhoods, and renting them out for $900 to $1,100 a month, sometimes more. So there's
I know exactly what you're talking about. That's great strategy.
Great deals out there. But now we are, like I said, I like to surround myself with experts who know a lot more than me. And so we've been working with a couple of developers who, are very well seasoned. They've built all kinds of stuff all around us, been in the business for 40 years, and they're helping. It's so funny when you talk to them. They're helping the banks unload stuff that banks just don't know what to do with. Most people know how to buy a single family home. Right. Most people don't know how to buy land like you're doing, or buy resorts, or, subdivisions that went under during the downturn. But these guys know what to do with it. When they go to the banks and they walk through the commercial lending department, there are boxes in there that banks don't even know what's in it. I
believe it.
They don't even know. So my partner I'm working with now, he saw this resort in Tahoe half finished, and he found out that the lender was B of A. So he went in, talked to the asset manager, and said, "Hey, I want to buy this property." And the asset manager said, "Oh, I didn't even know we had it."
That's incredible.
So it turns out the former owner was a hedge fund that got into real estate and shouldn't have, didn't know much about it, tried to build this luxury condo across the street from Heavenly. They put almost $40 million into it, went into bankruptcy after the downturn, and we just picked it up, tied it up for $2 million.
Unbelievable. And you're working with the developer and you're going to develop it. How big is that project going to be?
It's a big one. We're going to get financing to complete it, but investors will get really nice returns, and we already are getting offers for $8 to $10 million as is, but we know that
just for the land,
we tied it up for we could walk away with $4 to $6 million now, but we actually believe we're going to see more like $50 million profit on that one.
Well, yeah, Exactly. How long from land acquisition to going vertical, typically?
Yeah, we're looking at it's already vertical. That's the thing. The framework's already there. I mean, this is the exciting thing. It's already there. So we expect to get started on the construction by the spring, in about 6 months, or I should say about 8 months from now, and have it complete within 2 years. But we expect to have it sold out right when we start construction because there's nothing for sale in that area and certainly nothing new.
Right. See, this is my definition of a real estate genius that's able to buy property, distressed like that, tie it up for 2 million, and have such instant equity.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy plus Fettke equals real estate genius. Okay.
Thank you.
That's our equation for today. That's really exciting. So if I go to Real Wealth Network or realwealthnetwork.com and I start getting involved, and let's just say I want to be a passive investor,
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make 14%. How do you do that? I mean, what's the process?
Yeah, well, it depends on how you want to define passive.
Okay.
So, we definitely don't do the typical model that you see at real estate groups or these boot camps and stuff that, tell you to go door to door and, do this and put up signs. And no, we're not that kind of active investment group. We are definitely more passive, but there's different levels of passive. So, some people just want to own property themselves, no partners, collect rental income, whether it's commercial or apartment or single family, and have enough of that rental income coming in to never have to have a job again unless you want one. So we really help people. First of all, we have a full academy. It's only $47 a month to join the Real Wealth Investor Academy, where we go from step one, how to read an inspection report, how to understand an appraisal, what to look for in your insurance documents, what to make sure is in your contract. I mean, really basic stuff, but the foundation that most people just don't understand. And then,
I mean, $47 a month. I could go to another, boot camp and pay $20,000 for the same information.
Yeah, we're trying to put those guys out of business.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I'm surprised that you're not getting threatened by. I won't name names, but
I've had people spend the $30,000 and $40,000 on those boot camps and come join our academy for $47 and want to cry. Because they're like, wait, this is better information.
Right. Yeah.
We don't. I went to one of those and I was new and vulnerable. My husband, his life was on the line. He's totally fine and healthy now. Like you said, he's out paddleboarding. But, I had one of those groups try to take advantage of me in that vulnerable state. And that made me mad. And, I came home and thought, we can sign up for this boot camp and become millionaires. And only to find out that the information wasn't current or it wasn't really something useful. So yeah, ever since then I said, no, we're gonna get this information and make it free or very, very, very affordable.
Yeah. And so you also teach us on your podcast, correct?
Yeah, we have, like I said, free podcasts like you and blogs and webinars. And we give so much information away, articles that, get people started. And then finally, actually our members were saying, you really ought to start charging for this. So we started an academy where we are charging, but again, keeping it affordable for everyone. And what we found is even people who don't have money, once they, most of our clientele have money and they're afraid to lose it.
Yeah. Let's talk about your clientele. So
Yeah.
who are your people?
Our members, generally they're people who have worked their whole lives, have their money in, maybe they had it in a 401k or an IRA, or they made some money in their house or whatever, but now they want to retire and they do not want to lose their money. And they're afraid that if it's in the stock market, it's just too vulnerable.
Yeah.
So yeah, they want hard assets and they don't trust the government and they don't trust the debt this country's in. And they're, so when they discover all the tax benefits of real estate and that it's a hard asset and they can be the sole owner and not have partners and not have asset managers, skimming all the profits. And, they just feel really like I did when I discovered it, like, oh, I can do this. I can build my fortune. And again, when describing your fortune, what does that mean? For me, I live in Malibu now, and I see people who live in mansions that only the rest of the world could dream of. But you know what? As I've gotten to know a lot of these people, I found that they're not wealthy. They're not experiencing real wealth because they're not able to enjoy their owning, what they own.
Right. Yeah.
They're never there.
They're never there.
They're not with their children. They're not with their family. Their relationships are terrible because they just don't have time. And that's not what we're working towards. I would rather help somebody. I have artists come to me and say, you know what? All I want to do is art. I just need $3,000 a month to pay my bills, and then I can just do art all day long. And I say, let's do it. That's real wealth. You can have $3,000 a month passive income coming in. Of course you can. It's easy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. It's just, it's interesting how people make these choices for themselves and where they're going to be. And it's just, it's mind-boggling. Like, you want to play in the playground where you can make money. You don't want to think about, oh, well, I want to get that promotion to my job and make an extra $500 a month or get that 3% raise. So many people don't equate their life energy with money. Like, you're trading life energy for money. And if you're going to do that, that's great, but you might as well make as much money as possible. So invest it really well and learn what to do. And if you can make a passive income, why not? It just doesn't, I don't understand. What do you think?
Oh, it's so sad for me. I see, actually right now my husband is taking one of our wealthy, or I should say rich friends out to paddleboard, and this guy has not had a day off in years. You'd go into their house and see all that they have and the fancy cars they drive, but when you talk to him, he's exhausted, he's tired, all he does is work, he hasn't had any fun. And so we'd rather say, why don't you work a little less, make a little less money, and have a little more of a life?
Right.
Or like you said, invest it properly, be smart.
Right.
So yeah, that's what we're trying to teach people.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's a phenomenal resource. And so let me ask you this: if you're a newbie, what's, besides obviously getting the education, do you want to start in a certain niche? Obviously, I want you to go into land, but what would you say would be a real easy way for a newbie? Let's say, they're 50 years old and they've saved, $500,000. They've got it in their IRA, and they want that control that real estate kind of gives you. I can pick my piece of property. I can see the path of development. I can run the numbers. I'm not dependent on some third party, managing this project. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So 50,000 in a retirement fund. Is that what you said?
Or no, 500,000.
500. Okay, I was going to say I'm not going to be able to do much.
Yeah,
for the 50.
500,000.
Yeah. Okay. So 500. I'll give you an example of what one person did or several people have done in that scenario. And this is not a well-diversified portfolio, and I want to really make that clear right off the bat. But this is what this person chose because he felt comfortable after getting the education that we were able to provide. So he had about that much, and I showed him that in parts of Texas where there's tremendous job growth, and he chose Texas to focus on, that he could get $100,000 home that rented for about $1,100 in a good neighborhood and near jobs and so forth. So he ended up actually buying 5 homes, so $100,000 each approximately. And
did he leverage it or did he pay cash?
He decided just to pay cash because it was all in his IRA and he was retiring and he just didn't trust the stock market at all.
Okay.
And so, this was several years ago, right? He sold right before the stock market, fell. So he was very proud of himself and got into these 5 homes. And, here we are 5 years later. Those homes have gone up so much in value. He has got about a 10% return every year just on the cash flow alone after all expenses. So He decided to put it all in rental property that's very well managed. And we help people find those property managers and make sure that the asset's being taken care of. So in that case, he was real happy. Now, he could get a loan if he wanted to on those 5 properties. He didn't. But, some lenders will lend to your IRA.
Right.
And so if he wanted to, he could buy more. But he was just comfortable doing what he was doing, and that's, but like I said, I've got other people. I've got a guy who didn't have a lot of money but was able to get loans, conventional loans. This would be outside the IRA.
Okay.
And so he was able to, through some of the contacts that we have, you can buy property for a lot lower than it will appraise for. So he would have, say, his friend's IRA. He'd borrow from his friend's IRA. So the friend's IRA would invest. It's not actually taking money out of the IRA. The IRA would actually be a lender.
Okay.
Yeah, and let's say this guy was buying the property for $55,000, but it really rented for $75,000.
Okay.
So his friend would lend him that from his IRA, the $55,000, but then after 6 months or a year of seasoning, he could go get conventional finance at the higher appraised value and pay off his friend, refinance and pay off his friend. So he ended up buying 10 properties like that, where he'd buy them through private money, and the private money would put up most of the money because there was still about 20% equity in the property.
Right.
Then in a year, refinance. And he ended up purchasing 10 that way that are each cash flowing about $300. He maybe put 20,000 of his own money in.
Okay.
At the end of the day, but is cash flowing now about 30,000 a year.
So you don't, yeah. I mean, so you really don't need 30,000 a year. So wow. So he really doesn't need a tremendous amount of cash. It's being creative. And finding those other sources, correct?
Finding out whatever your strength is, again, like leveraging your strength. So in his case, his credit was fantastic.
Right.
So banks would be happy to lend to him. And I was able to show him how to buy properties far below their appraised value, which then allowed him to refinance and get all his cash back and go do it again. So that was his deal. So highly leveraged, but young enough to be able to take that on. And then, like I said, another guy who was at retirement age didn't want to, wanted hard assets, wanted to buy them below market value and get the high cash flow and just live off of that. We've have people who really like our group investments because they don't want to do anything. They don't even want to be a landlord. They don't want to deal with that. They'd rather, do these kind of investments. Like I said, buying the resort, having a highly experienced developer oversee that and take care of it. And everybody makes a really nice return.
Yeah. I've got about 10 friends out here that would be interested in your development because we all need to get out of the heat and go to Tahoe.
I heard you guys had a really big heat wave a few weeks ago.
It's crazy. I spent a summer in Truckee with my family, and it was fantastic. We rented a house over by Donner.
Oh, that's great.
You know where that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah, well, that's the way to do it. You just have to leave during the summer, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So I know I'm putting you on the spot, but we always talk about the podcast, your tip of the week. Like it can be a resource, a website. What's your tip of the week?
Okay. Well, I mean, the first thing that came to me, and I know this isn't really a resource, but my husband just spoke at our last Real Wealth Investor Academy event, and he just had everybody in the room take 3 really deep breaths. And as simple as that sounds, the energy shifted from frantic to completely grounded and calm. So that would be my tip for the week is breathe. Just breathe.
I love that. Do you ever read the book Power of Now?
I haven't, but I've heard great things, and it's on my list.
It's a great book. This guy is Eckhart Tolle.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can even get an audiobook. And he's got this weird accent, and it's fantastic. But you know what I got out of that book was not just, I think, because he was talking about meditating, and he was saying you don't need to meditate. He's like, you just need to take one conscious breath, and that is so much better than meditating. Yeah. And he's always saying, and I say this to my children, they get frantic or they get stressed out. I said, what problem do you have at this moment? What problem do you have at this moment? Nobody has any problems at this moment. At this right now, at this moment. Mm-hmm. So our minds are always kind of either projecting into the future, or thinking about what just happened in the past. Like I'm going to be stressed out after this podcast. What did Kathy think of my podcast? But at this moment, there's no there's no problems. When a problem arises, you'll deal with it at that moment, which I found very wise and kind of keeps me level-headed.
And that breath can bring you to that present moment. That reminds us, like you said, that there is no problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So before saying something to your spouse or to your children or your coworkers that you might regret, just take that deep breath and calm down.
Yeah, I better call my wife after this. Take that deep breath.
Take that deep breath, honey.
Sorry I was short with you this morning with the kids. But I just spoke with Kathy Fettke at Real Wealth Network, and I feel much better. So I'll definitely do that. So obviously you're not going to plug your own site. So I will plug it for you. So
thank you.
Yeah, my tip of the week is, obviously for $47 a month, get the information you need if you're interested in getting into real estate in a big way and get that knowledge. Obviously, I want you to go and start with land, but look, land's not for everybody. You always need to diversify your holdings and your assets. And obviously, Kathy's on to something big. And that's why she's living in Malibu and I'm living in Scottsdale. So I'm looking at her site right now. You can just get for free 7 steps for new real estate investors, how to start, where to buy, and what to buy, which is a free guide on realwealthnetwork.com. So, and I'll have this in the show notes as well, realwealthnetwork.com. So, Kathy, anything else you want to close with?
Oh, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on, and that, if there was, this would be my 2 cents, is that this is a good time to buy well-positioned land. So you're definitely in the right place at the right time.
Thank you. Hey, listen, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to inform myself, my listeners about you and what you do. And look, there's 7 billion people in the world, but there's only one, real estate genius that I know. And so that's, I feel very honored that you took the time to share that with me and the podcast. I hope you'll do this again.
Oh, thank you. I'd love to.
Yeah, so I know you're busy and you're hard to get scheduled, but it'd be fantastic. So we'll have to do this again, and at the very least, let's just see what's going on with your project. Let's do a follow-up on that.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah,
love that.
Great. So thank you so much. And everyone go to realwealthnetwork.com. And also, get my free passive income blueprint at thelandgeek.com. Subscribe to Coffee Talk and the free YouTube videos. And buy some raw land. FrontierPropertiesUSA.com. Don't be afraid. Kathy Fettke, Real Wealth Network resource. Thank you so much. And this is Mark Podolsky, the Land Geek, saying goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Land Geek. Join us next time for more tips, secrets, and information that will help you succeed. Stay connected with The Land Geek on Facebook at facebook.com/The Land Geek.